Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, Women on TV.tv, iTeam 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and the Worldwide TV Network. And so we have none other than, all right, so Nate, who are you and where'd you come from?
So I go by Nate Soundz, real name Nathan, and I live in Esparto, California. So Esparto is about 40 miles north of Sacramento, and my graduating class was 90 people, and the town's population is probably 3,000 by now, and that's not much more than I had when I was living here, you know. So slow growing rural community, but not far from major city and stuff to do.
Are you still there?
Yeah, you know what? I actually grew up right around the corner from where I am now, and it's kind of nice. I see my kids grow up. I have two boys, and they're about the same age as my brother and I were when we were apart. So when I see them do things in the same neighborhood on almost the same exact street, you know, I get a lot of reminiscence of memories and stuff like that. So it's good for me, and I've traveled the world, so you know, I appreciate the small town and knowing my community.
That's kind of trippy knowing that you're like right around the corner from where you grew up, isn't it?
You know, I always went up and down the same roads to go to school, to go to groceries, and I kind of hated it, you know. But when I was gone and lived in, you know, out of state, and when I lived in New York, and when I lived in the East Coast, everything was so different and foreign to me all the time, just moving everywhere, different places. I learned to appreciate coming back home, you know. So.
Yeah, but you know, the difference is you got a chance to travel around, so that's understandable. Sometimes once you've done that, you've gone outside the US or even gone towards the East Coast, it's completely different. And then you get a sense of, you know what, I've done this, maybe I want to go back to where I grew up. So that's understandable to me. A lot of people have never experienced it, so they don't know what that's like.
Yeah, it's just it's a full circle experience for me, so I appreciate it.
Talk about how you started doing everything. When did you know you wanted to be in the music business and everything like that? How did that come about for you?
I've always had an innovative mind. You know, I've got a lot of ideas about a lot of things, but I never had anything that I was really passionate about. So I spent a lot of my early years of my life, you know, starting in, I'd say, elementary school. Really, I had a passion for things like physics and, you know, the stars and being an astronaut, like, you know, every little kid wants to be, well, a lot anyways. And I sort of took that into an official role and taking interest in something like being a cop or a military guy. So I did the Army thing for a while. And so I learned a good structure. I finally got a good foundation. I was a good kid growing up. I didn't get in a lot of trouble, but I you know, I always liked music. It was always there for me. I actually like music so much. You know, I mean, for the longest time, I never even paid attention to who I listened to or anything like that. I just heard stuff and I liked it, you know. And it's kind of, I'm going back to my roots of original music when I get out of the military and I got my kids and stuff. And I realized, you know, I've kind of done everything I thought I needed to do in terms of, you know, the basics of life. And I wanted a hobby. And I used to write poetry a lot. And my friend told me, you know, hey, your poems sound a lot like, you know, someone would sound if they wrote rap lyrics. And I kind of took to that. And over time, I got a microphone and I did some recordings. But the third song I recorded, I liked it so much that I realized it's what I should have been doing my whole life. You know, I never felt so elated. I just like weight off my shoulders. And in particular, I like hip hop because the idea, at least for me, with word use and the sophistication of lyrics and stretching words and just all the things you can do, you know, as a solo recording artist in hip hop is unbeatable, I think. You know, the versatility, the directions you can go, the kind of people you can work with. And that really resonated with me and my diverse experience in life. So it's a rich experience and fulfilling. So about 2 years ago, I really got dead serious about it. And I've been going nonstop every single day for about 2.5 years.
Who were you listening to when I mean, before you went into the Army and then in the Army, because you have a whole different mindset when you're in the military.
Yeah, you don't really get to listen to too much music. But when I did, so I really started heavily listening to music. I always listened to music with my mom growing up. She always had the 80s playing, you know, all the classic 80s rock stuff. But what I mostly remember as a kid, and the very first song I think I ever heard that I listened to and understood was the Eurythmics. And I absolutely loved the Eurythmics. So, you know,
Sweet dreams are made of this.
You fucking know it, yeah. So I love that song to death. And it fed into, I like the big 80s sound, you know, the flair, the amped guitars, and just, you know, the carrying out with the voice, echo for days. I really like that powerful impressions, kind of cinematic end of it. So when I started seeing some people like even Kid Rock, when Kid Rock first came out and he did Ball with the Ball, he was rapping, but it was like metal, kind of like rock and stuff. And I resonated with that sort of intensity. I liked sophisticated word use. So I really got into King Los, right at like during the military. Before that, it was all like local West Coast stuff, mostly Andre Nicotina and E40, a lot of Bay Area rappers from California, West Coast, Snoop Dogg and all, Dr. Dre kind of thing. But mostly for me, I was always underground. I liked listening to music no one else had ever heard. And when Napster first came out, dial-up connection, I would download like 50 songs a day. Wow. I don't even know what the kilobyte rate is. But, I had a lot of songs, and I would listen to, new artists that I never knew. But I I listened to Jelly Roll for years, and I didn't even know he was even close to signing with someone like Strange or working with their publications department and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool to see. But King Lo, Snack the Ripper, Token when he came out, I like his style at least. But I really I love Passionate MC, all the Team Backpack original, ciphers with kind of the more popular and stuff. I love all that, And that's really where I was always bouncing around from different people. And then I have the people I follow now, like Preston Montana, on SoundCloud. Preston Montana is awesome. He's real smooth, kind of like, I don't know exactly where he's from. I can't say that, but he's great. And then I listen to my number one supporter, which is Sweaty. And he's kind of like, he does raps, but he also does like thrashcore. So I'm in between metal, hard rock, and rap mostly. And it's all sort of, I think that's where I'm at now too. I'm doing a lot of heavier stuff.
But I think that's actually pretty good because I always like Limp Bizkit and Metallica and things like that. And then you start to get in because if you've ever seen the documentary on Kid Rock, how he started, it's very good. And then so where he is today, you're not surprised because you could see, him morphing into different things. And then even for, earlier Eminem stuff, you see where he went into and then being aligned with Dr. Dre. And it's interesting. So I like the way things have been changing. I think I've kind of lost a little bit of the music sound like the last 2 years. And then I started going back and listening to classic rock again because I would get up and start doing stuff. And all of a sudden, oh, yeah, I remember this when I grew up in an all-white town in East Lyme, Connecticut. There was only 3 black families there of a town of 7,000, if you can imagine that. And then, so I was in the band, the drum and bugle corps. I could play licks as a drummer, but I couldn't necessarily read music. So my ear was always, let's hear this on the album, and then I could take it off and listen to it.
Cool. Yeah, so actually your childhood wasn't too much different than mine. But I actually grew up, I wouldn't say I was a minority, but where I live, I would say it's more Hispanic community than it is, white or urban or anything like that. So I never even thought about anything like that. My mom, she was always very good about letting me make my own decisions about things. And I got along with everybody pretty much growing up. And I always was curious about things I couldn't or didn't experience because I lived in a small town. And I did have the internet at the time, as a, early millennial. I sort of got that technology from the get-go. And so I've always been curious about things I can't, reach in my current situation. And the fact that I feel like I know more about some of the East Coast underground rappers than people in the East Coast, music industry do sometimes, just because the diversity of sound is out there now in a way, and it's starting to sound better. And I love the fact that I can record from my house, in a small town, and talk to you on Zoom and all this. So it's been pretty radical, all leading up to actually trying to put myself out there.
I think that's actually pretty good. Talk about, are you close to any of the fires right now? And then how was it when you were locked down with your writing? What were you writing about?
When I was locked down, like quarantine?
Yeah.
Okay. So I only went to jail once. And they wouldn't let me write anything. But, quarantine, I had written so much over the past 2 years or 3 years before I even started recording because I did poetry. I had so much material to work with that I didn't run out of things that I didn't touch until about a month or two ago. And, I still have some real prize stuff. So I've been since I would say quarantine, I've been under sort of a refinement period, where I'm sort of taking my favorite stuff, my favorite concepts, and I sort of amalgamate them into an idea, which gave me the confidence to be where I am right now and, put myself in a light. Because what I'm going to start writing now, and what I've refined over the period of quarantine so far is, defining character or who I am so that I can express it properly, and then having the skill set necessary to deliver that in the way I feel it. So now that I feel like that's all there and it's in alignment, I think I'm going to finally start talking about who I am in terms of my sense of self, but in a way that is, I want it to stay personal. So it's going to be about me so I can get, intimate with the ideas, but also I'm trying to find out the best way to convey it over to, a large audience. That's simple enough to understand, quickly, but enough that if you want to really listen, it can kind of play both ends. And that's my approach to this. So I'm going to start writing about me and my life experiences in terms of what's going on right now in our, culture and the times and, the rapid changes and technology. So a lot of science, a lot of kind of goofy stuff, and a lot of intensity. My main thing is creativity, intensity, and, consistency. And when I write something, I'd love the opportunity to share it with somebody, but I don't think I'm going to start until probably next week. It's a special date for me, special time in my life, so it's a good time to start fresh as we move out, into like the holiday season and the new year. I like to build up to that sort of thing. So I'm trying to make a couple more contacts right now. I'd love to find people to collaborate with because doing this stuff alone, it's rewarding, but it can get monotonous at times. I'd like to be exposed to someone else's ideas about how things can be done, and that's what I'm doing right now, and have been doing since quarantine started, basically.
It's a strange feeling when you are on a lockdown and then when you come back out, because now I mean, technically it's hard to hug people and we miss those connections like that. I can only imagine what a lot of people are writing when it comes to poetry. You're that poetry type of guy also. I can only imagine what you're writing. The stuff that people come out with, the movies, music, songwriters. This is a good time to just be creative. And then all of a sudden you walk back out into civilization and it's not the same when you walk back in. It's really bizarre. Even when I'm traveling now, it's not the same, and you have to be so careful, and it's bizarre. What's your feelings on that?
In regard specifically to creativity, or into just dealing with the resistant sort of, the awkwardness of society now and being close?
Oh.
So they sort of work against each other at first, because again, creativity in and of itself, being a creative, like what do you say, not a deductive effort, but an inductive, like you push out into things, like you go to make the change, you're the decision maker, sort of. It's from the inside out, whereas the customs and the values of our culture and the scare is from the outside in. So you have to find a way for those to work, and that's why I put all my emphasis of things on relationships themselves, like on the general idea of a relationship, because there's categories, and there's people I'm always going to hug no matter what. And then there's the people that I really probably ain't ever gonna hug no matter what. And then there's people that kind of in the middle. And for me, I'm a hardline person when it comes to that kind of stuff. Always have been. So my behavior almost hasn't changed at all in terms of how I interact with people, because I don't spend my time on anyone that I'm not probably willing to hug all the time. You know what I mean? And that's not to say I'm not trying to find more people to do that with, because I'm all about hugs. But hugs, handshakes, I always like to say, I'm as good as my handshake. And now that doesn't really work very well because you can't do it. And if you can't do a handshake and you're as good as that, then you can't do it. So that's not good.
See,
so I'm trying to work on these.
I see you writing about all that stuff in some strange way too. And you said you have kids too, right?
Yeah, I'm a father of two. I got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and me and their mom are not together, but we get along. And I have them half the time. Actually, they're here now. They're going to have a sleepover tonight. And it's the first time that they've had a kid sleep over our house in a year. They haven't had. Yeah.
That's strange right there, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, and school, we just sort of started a week or two ago, and just to get it all together, and when there's an issue, and now that I'm basically in the classroom, right? I'm in the classroom all day now, because I've chosen to stay home so I can start doing the music thing, and then my kids are stuck home because of quarantine. And now I'm in the classroom and I'm working and I'm doing, you know, all these different things in my house. So that's kind of nice in terms of convenience, but it's hard to get that privacy that you used to have before. You know, and for me, creative expression, I get pretty far out there sometimes. I need closed doors. You know, I need to be able to close the curtains and people not be able to hear me sometimes.
Talk about that.
So
How can you write and be that parent and be in school at the same time in the same place? That's just bizarre, isn't it?
it is, but you know, if for me, being put in extreme conditions, I found early on in my life of a high value in maintaining your composure, you know, under stress. You know, I do, if I excel anywhere, you won't see it until about 100 miles an hour, because at about 100 miles an hour, I start to wake up. You know, when things start really ramping up, I sort of get excited. It was kind of like that whenever I get in a fight too. I remember growing up, made me think about that for some reason. You know, it's never an issue until next thing you know, it's a real bad problem. I'm kind of like that. But for me, all this stuff going on around me, it's inspiration. I try to find the points where all this crap goes on and interacts. And I find in that interaction, you know, some sort of process that I can grab onto. And I'll just use all the stimulus and all the frustration that I might be accumulating to come up with the words, you know, because it's like, when you're frustrated with something, you usually got something to say about it. So if I can do that and be honest with myself and maintain my message, that I can't ask for, you know, a better opportunity, because I'm right immersed in everything that so many other people are going through from a creative perspective, you know, and from a sincere creative and intentional. Like, I'm trying hard to be in what I'm doing. And this is like, I feel like the stars are aligning for me in a sense of me accomplishing what I want for myself. And I just gonna share that with other people if I can.
See, and that's good. Good for you. That's that's inspiring to hear that, because there's so many people that are suffering from anxiety and depression, and they just don't see any hope or anything like that. So good for you. What do you hope to happen between now and the end of the year for you?
I need my whole plan from the get-go. So I lived, so right now I'm actually at Mom's house, and I'm at Mom's house because I sold my home, which was about half an hour away from here, about 2 months ago. And my whole reason for doing that was, one, the value of my home increased quite a bit. I made a good real estate investment, and the value of my home went up so high. And I was transitioning from transportation expert to, I guess entertainment, music mostly, but entertainment. I'm willing to do other things. I just want something to come to life in terms of a performance or real collaboration. Whether I'm with people or even remotely, I don't care. I just want something that's real in terms of interaction with other artists or true fanship. People interested to follow because they either like the message, the sound, both. Because you gotta have a movement behind what you're doing, otherwise you won't be able to stick with it anyways. And there's always a story there. So as long as I can get my story out, one, and have people resonate with it too, so that it produces some sort of, real, and I want to produce something. You know what it is? I'm creative, so I'm not worried about being able to do that. I just want the best opportunities. So I appreciate you allowing me on your show, because I think this is one of those.
You think we'll be able to see you maybe perform, whether it's in your house or on top of a roof or something, or in the backyard between now and the end of the year?
Hell yeah. And I want to perform. That's what I was saying. So I guess I really didn't flesh that out very well. I sold my house so that I could buy equipment and travel and not have to work, and I can pay, my kid's mom, or, help support my kids a little bit more while, if I ever got popular and could travel around like I would need to accomplish what I want. And now that I can't go anywhere, I got money to do things. But my whole plan and my knowledge base that I accumulated was all based on live performances. So I haven't been able to do what I intended to do originally, and I completely changed gears. And now that I'm on a program with some good people, I really I would love to take some advice. What do you think people want to see? Because I would stand here and I would perform all day long. I tried the Twitch thing a few times, and I tried kind of networking a whole bunch of different instant video chat apps and with profiles, so that I can air them on all sorts of different ones at the same time. But without good PR, without good relations with the extended network now, I got no chances to meet people outside, and I don't feel comfortable, at least like knocking down on everyone's Facebook profile and looking into what they're doing just to find out if it's okay to send them a song or not. So I have a good solid following. Most people who just come across my music hear it or hear what I have to say, they like it, and they even contact me. So the word of mouth is working pretty well, but I'd like it to accelerate. And if by the end of the year, if I could have a good solid understanding about how to satisfy people's interest, man, I'm already making cartoon videos with my son. I'm doing music. I would love to help other creatives to inspire their, get them to get their fire going again or something. Because that's what I like to do. Otherwise, I burn a hole in my room.
Well, you're on the right track, because what's happening, and I've been talking to a lot of musicians. This is the first time in a long time I've been talking to so many musicians, is that they're almost all in the same boat. It doesn't matter if you're up here or in the middle. They're all wondering what they can do. And I find it fascinating because what you're talking about, they're in the same situation. So you have an advantage because you've been writing stuff. You got some money. Not all of them have some. They're used to going on the road and making their money, and they can't do that. And then they're not used to being stuck at home with their family or kids. They're used to being away. So now they feel claustrophobic. It's really interesting to hear the stories. They're actually kind of going nuts. It's very interesting. They have to be more of a parent. And if they, with a significant other, and they don't get along with them, well, that's interesting too. The stories I'm hearing, not all good. So I think you're in the right spot. And the more I look at that microphone and behind you, you just continue to do what you're doing. Have those people reaching out to you. That old platform of getting it out to people and they're responding to you, the word of mouth will spread, and that's a great thing, because you really can't perform right now. But since you're maybe that one person band, you actually could do a lot of things. And I think that's to your benefit.
Yeah, I think so too. And I appreciate that, because, if you happen to listen to anything and you like it, I wouldn't mind, hearing, or if you think I can improve anywhere. I'm the type of person who I know I can always get better, so I don't feel like there's like a destination of where I'm going to reach in terms of my ability to try new things or relate to other people, because, my character isn't thin enough that if I take on someone else's interest, I'm going to lose who I am or anything. And I think there's a lot of scare in that, especially in hip hop. Like, if you're not real, or, if anyone else does anything for you, first of all, I write all my own stuff. I do my own mixes. I even make my own beats and stuff. But, I think collaboration is also really important. If we're not going to be able to see each other and interact with each other and see each other's activities and behavior in person, we have to do as much as we can with these sorts of types of communication, so that we develop more broadly, just we flesh out our minds more, because everyone has a different perspective. And we take that in huge, just psychologically. Our biology is geared towards our neurology, our cultures. We're all people watchers. We all see how things go on, and it helps us define who we are. And I think that's why a lot of people are losing themselves, because I've always said, an identity is a lot like a word or a definition. You don't define who you are in terms of yourself. It's everything else that you experience in life that defines who you are. So like a good definition of a word, the definition of a word never includes the word itself. So if I'm ever talking about me, and now I realize, because I'm not pressured by all the things that define who I am, I start asking myself who I am. And I think that's what a lot of people are starting to realize, because they don't got the job, at least, or they have less of it, or it's in such a different way that, like you were saying, we're at home, we're doing all this other stuff. I think I have a perfect message for that whole idea that people could grab onto if they chose to, wanted to. And it's not like it would be a big deal. I think it's just a couple of subtle ideas, we can get out there that people could grasp onto. They'd be happier. They'd see the benefits of the situation. And once the scare goes away of any sort of, truly scary biological disease or getting sick, any of that goes away, I think we see a possibility for a huge transition in just society's caliber, I would say. Its ability to be more civil, because we realize we don't have to actually. Like, companies are producing tons of sales still, and while some people are super unfortunate and they've lost a lot, everything, it is a tough transition into this whole new way of operating. And if it works, those people can come right back doing a lot of different things, because it's it's easier to communicate with people faster because we had to make it more efficient quickly right now, right? People who had jobs, anyone who could work is working and willing to work. They're out there. And I see I don't know, 100 offers a day, little jobs and stuff here and there. There's work to be done. There's opportunities, and people are able to do it from their home now. And now if we can combine that and sort of maybe get back some of the original human interaction with each other, the recreational side of things, I think you can see entertainment take on a whole new level of, services, really. And the ability for people to be more rounded out with, exposure to experiences will suddenly just double back in the other direction, where you have immense opportunity to do stuff because so many people now in their isolation are defining who they are again. And that's going to be great when they break back out and they get to share all that stuff. That's going to inspire a lot of people. So the fact that I feel like that is going to happen, and if it does, and I'm ready for it.
Inspire people also,
Yeah. And I think I don't think we'll be able to freaking help it, because we've all had time to think about things in a way that we probably didn't realize until we go back out there. People start talking about this and that, and then your heads turn, and and a whole new system of relationships is gonna, a whole new layer almost has been built. So I like that.
Give your social media links so people can check out your stuff.
I'll just say it right.
Yeah.
So everything's pretty much at Nate Soundz. Nate Soundz with a Z at the end. There is one other one. See my Facebook. You could just go Nathan Shaw. But everything is Nate Soundz, and I'm primarily on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, but mostly just it's easy platform to share media on, and in my groups, stuff like that. So, but I do take any sort of communication serious, and I try to be as professional as possible. I don't have like a menu of services yet, but all that's coming pretty soon. But catch me on Facebook, catch me on SoundCloud. That's where most of my music is. And I'm looking for I think I'm going to build my own website here in next 2 weeks or so. That should be up and running. I thought I'd already have it up, but it didn't work out so well.
I think that's pretty good because it sounds like you've got a solid base of everything. And then while you have the time, you're creating everything and building everything. I think that's great because there's not a lot of time left. It's almost like Mother Nature said, okay, everybody start from scratch. Everybody's on even ground. Let's see who creates whatever in this time of need during this pandemic, and then go for it. So I think what you're doing right now, I think you're in a good spot.
I appreciate that, man. It's encouraging. So I think I'll keep at it. I'll have to double down.
Well, yeah, because like I said, the NAMM convention, which would normally be the third week of January, it's canceled. NAB has been, National Association of Broadcasters, just moved. This January coming up will be the first dead January ever. January is usually the busiest month of the year now. So there's not that much time because people are starting to adapt to change. You can see how football is starting to do something. The bands will come back later, and then they'll figure out a platform where people could start to perform. But I don't see it happening until after March. Now, it's not that much time. We only got 3.5 months left of the year. Time goes quickly in the fall. So, that time you have right now, continue to focus on what you're doing because time goes quick. It really does.
Yeah, and I think I got to be prepared, at least in the way I want to be, by the time people are all sitting together in the house, because my message is, when people are together, I think what I have to say and have been saying resonates a lot more because you're around the types of people and the relationships that I'm going to reference and mention a lot in a way that's going to be going on with the holidays and all that. So that's my aim. I really want to tackle these holidays with a good message that's not only positive, at times albeit cynical, but aims for like a, just a higher order of living for oneself and each other. So I'm ready for it, and I'm excited about it.
And and keep this in mind, Nate, because there's so many people that are just going through it. It could be a song that you're not even expecting that just hits them the right way. And I get calls around the world from all the people who are going through stuff. It's tough, and I feel really bad. I mean, I can only imagine what like I said, what the songs are going to be like for people that are writing them, what poetry is like, and what the, filmmakers, because like me, I can't go to the movie theaters. I'm not ready to go to the movie theaters because I get the link sent to me, but I miss going to the movie theaters. That's like my way to go in and get away for 2 hours, And I also know they're not putting anything out there. Like, Even Wonder Woman's been pushed, for 5 times it's been postponed. Now they want to release it, I guess, in December, but all the major movies are pushed until after February of next year because
Yeah.
people aren't ready. But going to the drive-in theaters is a great thing to do, Provide.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. And I really I had a huge inspiration in the beginning of this was to create my own venues, and I have several lined up. But the issue is if you're big or whatever, and you want to maintain a certain image, and you tie that image to your publicity, you're not going to be willing to do anything until you're full swing almost. So I think that's a great advantage though for the people who just need attention in a sense. We need the people who are willing to go out there where they can, and that's going to be your opportunity. If you're prepared and you're ready to go, you can go out there and you could be the one who gets things started. And that's what I think would be, the greatest thing is to see, at least in my community, because it's small, I feel like there's at least a chance for me to be the symbol of, it's going to be okay, sort of, and we can have fun while still being safe and, respectful. So
Exactly.
I think the drive-in movie, we need to build on that. Everyone can like, I was almost thinking of having people drive around like they do parades and stuff. Performance parade that you could perform to just a isolated community, somewhere that has, 20 apartment complexes. And, there's like the roadways or something. You can get on the back of a truck or something that pulls a nice trailer, and you could set up and no one's got to get close for that. You'll be in the comfort of your homes where you already are, sharing stuff on social media as it's happening. And you could just do like a circuit and people, different performances or something. I had that. And I still will do that when the time is right. But we got to be creative with our ability to express ourselves, but also the methods and the resources that we use to do it. We got to come up with new ways to share.
See, you got it. You'll be prepared. You'll be surprised at what happens to it. I keep telling everybody, whether you believe it or not, this is not going away for 5 years. There's not going to be a vaccine until sometime mid-July of next year, the earliest.
And I ain't taking round one.
Huh?
I'm not taking vaccine round one.
No, it's like getting the latest iPhone. It's always got problems with it, right?
Yeah, you got to wait.
It's never the best show. The first show is always the test, So, give it time. It's got to be done the right way. It's got to be solid, but time goes quick. But be prepared. And that's what I'm telling people. Be prepared because time goes quick, because you can't say, oh, I ran out of time. No, you can't say that. You had plenty of time to do it. You just didn't take advantage of it. Because here's the thing. I was able, and I don't even like Zoom or Skype, but I was able to get, we're at 6 million views a day and counting. We're at 3.7 million views out of Tennessee and counting. We're almost at 3.8. This is during a pandemic still. So if we can do it, we all have a Zoom and anybody can start a podcast and you can write your lyrics, poetry, you create a film, short film or whatever. Everybody can do everything now. It's just a matter, are you up to doing it? Because there is no later on, because your life does depend on it. So does in your business, if not both.
Yeah, blessings there.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. And, we'll have you back on, and I'll have 2 of the girls on with you. And then I'm going to have you rap or whatever you're going to have the next time you come back on. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, no problem, man. We can make a song on air if you want live.
Okay. Hey,
that's one of the things I'm pushing to do.
I've got things coming up, Nate, so that's a good thing.
All right, awesome, man.
Your social media links one more time.
So it's all at Nate Soundz with a Z at the end, Nate Soundz, and it's mostly Twitter, the SoundCloud, and Facebook right now. But I am on like YouTube and stuff. I'm just starting. I got some video ideas coming up at Nate Soundz with a Z. All
right. Hey, so for Nate, this is Brian Sebastian. I'm here by myself today with Nate. The girls are out working. Some of them are sick. So we're going to have them come on so you can rap to them or give them poetry, Because like I said, everybody's trapped in their own way. So for Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, WomenOnTV.tv, iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. And we will see you next week.